Hey everyone, this is Friedel Courage Raven, and yeah, I ended up watching Downton Abbey 2, A New Era, and I'm going to talk about it. I'm not going to do an entire movie review. I'm focusing more on Thomas Barrow's story in Downton Abbey 2, especially after how Downton Abbey 1 ended back in 2019, and his relationship with Richard Ellis, and yeah, Downton Abbey 2 ended up giving us answers about what happened to Barrow's relationship with Richard. And yeah, because if you have watched the trailers for Downton Abbey 2, you know that Thomas ended up having a new love interest played by Dominic West, and the character's name is Guy Dexter, who is this famous popular actor. So I'm going to talk about I'm going to talk about Thomas's story in Downton Abbey 2, and as far as the film overall is concerned, I'll probably end up sharing a few thoughts by the end. But anyway, coming back to Thomas and Richard. So in the first movie, Thomas and Richard ended up becoming friends, and that friendship ended up turning into something more romantic when Richard Ellis ended up kissing Thomas and flirting with him and whatnot. And yeah, Downton Abbey 2 basically it told us that the relationship, I think it only lasted for a couple of months. Yeah, less than a year, right? Less than a year, because I have a feeling that I could be wrong, but I think that Downton Abbey 2 actually takes place in the late 1920s as well, and Downton Abbey 1 was 1927. So the sequel was like 1928, possibly. Yeah, 1928. So yeah, the relationship didn't necessarily last very long. We have the scene where Thomas is feeling sad, and Mrs. Hughes walks into his office, and she's like, Mr. Barrow, what's bothering you? You can share with me, because yeah, Mrs. Hughes knows that Thomas is a queer man. And this is where Thomas ends up telling Mrs. Hughes that, do you remember Mr. Richard Ellis? And Mrs. Hughes is like, yeah, of course. I knew that you two were friendly. And yeah, this is where Thomas is like, well, I received a letter from him, and in his letter he has told me that he is going to marry another woman, he's going to take a wife, and yeah, that news really makes Thomas sad. And we have this entire, I think in my opinion, it was a well-written scene where Mrs. Hughes ends up talking to Thomas about the reality of being a queer person back in the 1920s, and how yeah, a whole lot of people who are like Thomas, they didn't necessarily get to have happy lives, and a majority of them basically ended up marrying other women in order to remain in society. And Mrs. Hughes is like, Thomas, this was expected. You can't really blame Richard for this, right? You can't be angry at him. And Thomas is like, yeah, Mrs. Hughes, you're right. I'm not angry at Richard, but he's just sad. He's just sad that the relationship is over. And I'm like, maybe Richard would still want a relationship to keep on going, possibly like an affair, even though he's married. But I think that's something that Thomas as a character isn't comfortable with, because Mrs. Hughes is like, when Mr. Barrow, you might have to marry a woman too if you don't want to end up being lonely. And Thomas is like, when Mrs. Hughes, I don't want to hide who I am. And yeah, he ends up, but yeah, if you guys remember what happened in the Downton Abbey TV series, Thomas has went through a whole lot of struggle when it comes to accepting his sexuality. He also tried to take his own life and whatnot. But by the end of it all, the current Thomas that we have, he is very, very confident in his sexuality, and he's the type of queer person who doesn't want to hide away who he is. Like as far as Thomas is concerned, he's better off being lonely instead of marrying another woman and appearing straight in society. So yeah, Thomas is like, what, Mrs. Hughes, I'm okay with the way that I am, even if it means that I'll be lonely. Maybe I'll find someone. Maybe I might not. Who knows? And Mrs. Hughes is like, what, Mr. Barrow, I hope that you're fortunate enough. And it turns out, yeah. So the Richard Ellis story has ended, and if you guys aren't familiar, the original plan was that by the end of the first movie, Thomas was going to call Richard Ellis, and his wife was going to pick up the phone. But Julian Fellows decided against it, because he wanted to leave Thomas at somewhat a happy note. But yeah, that relationship is now over because even though the original plan was for Richard to already be married before he met Thomas, in the sequel we got to know that he ended up deciding to marry after meeting Thomas. So yeah, I guess it's over. I guess it's over. So coming to Downton Abbey Part 2, this is where we know from the trailers that Thomas has a new love interest, and his name is Guy Dexter, who is this rich, popular actor, and he and his crew end up arriving at Downton Abbey to shoot his new film. And yeah, this is where Guy starts to flirt with Thomas, and I'm like, ooh, really? These two are flirting? And I really liked how while Guy was trying to flirt with Thomas, Thomas was very, very reserved. He was very walled up emotionally, which makes sense, especially after what just happened with him because of Richard. Of course, it made sense for him not to basically jump into the romantic pool just like that. And also, as far as Thomas is concerned, he is a bit hesitant because he doesn't necessarily know whether or not Guy is actually queer. And I also think that he's also hesitant because he's like, you know what, let's say that even if I end up having a romance with Guy, he is going to leave soon, because I think that the entire crew is going to stay in Downton for like a month. Yeah, after a month he'll go and Thomas will be left alone again. But now, as far as Guy is concerned, he is quite relentless in his pursuit of Thomas, and I like the fact that it was in a non-creepy manner. He was just trying to be friendly with Thomas, he was trying to get to flirt with him and whatnot. So yeah, the entire... these two had some interesting moments, and and even though compared to how Thomas was with Richard, those two ended up starting out as friends, which then turned into something romantic. But when it comes to Thomas and Guy, I really thought that there should have been more moments where these two tried to get to know each other, and these two tried to become friends first, and then having it turn it into something romantic. But that didn't happen, because as far as I could understand, from Guy's perspective, everything felt like as if it was love at first sight. He just saw Thomas. He was like, you know what? I want to be with this guy. Who cares about friendship? I just want to be with him, which was weird, but still romantic in a sense. And yeah, as far as Guy's films are concerned, he is a star of silent films. However, because of the changing era, talking films have become more popular, and that ends up causing a bit of trouble when it comes to the production of the film that they're making right now at Downton, because it's supposed to be a silent film. And we have the scene between Guy and Thomas, because Guy is very worried about his future. He's like, you know what, I'm a star of silent films. What if other people don't want to actually hear me talk? What then? And then Thomas ends up giving him a bit of support, and Thomas is like, don't worry about it, Mr. Dexter. People, even if films do turn into talking films, people will still want to see familiar faces. So yeah, even though these two had certain moments where they kind of supported each other, Guy even told his real name to Thomas. But yeah, even though there were moments there where they supported each other, I still felt that there could have been a few more scenes where they got to know each other, because the way that everything ended, I'm like, I get that Julian Fellows wanted to give Thomas a very, very happy ending, basically, as happy as a queer person could be back in the day. But it still left me wanting more. I wasn't really satisfied about the entire thing. I'm actually worried about Thomas's future. But yeah, coming back to the film, more issues arise, and if you guys can see in this image, these are scenes from the trailer. I took screen grabs from the trailer. But yeah, you can actually see Thomas back here, and basically because the extras weren't at Downton, the Downton staff ended up being dressed up and being part of an actual film. And yeah, this is Thomas. So, moving on. So basically, because Guy wants to be with Thomas, Guy is like, you know what, Thomas, I have an offer to make to you. And Thomas is like, what is it, Mr. Dexter? And Guy is like, well, Thomas, I don't have a wife to take care of, and I don't not necessarily to take care of, I don't have a wife to take care of me, or my estate, or my work. So basically, Thomas, Mr. Barrow, what I'm asking of you is that I would like you to be my wife. And hey, I understand. I understand that when two men are a couple and they're romantically involved, that doesn't mean that they're husband and wife. But considering that we're talking about the story taking place back in the late 1920s, there wasn't a whole lot of terminology in order to explain queer relationships, and as far as I can tell, Guy wanting Thomas to basically be his wife was as if he was proposing marriage to Thomas, because again, as far as Guy is concerned, he's very serious about Thomas and he wants Thomas to come and live with him and whatnot, and yeah, he just wants to marry Thomas. And yeah, Thomas does accept. He does accept. And I also like the scene between these two, where Thomas ended up being impressed by Guy, because Guy is from America, and Guy is like, you know what, Thomas, I really don't care about what other people think of my sexuality and whatnot. I'm open. Again, as open as one could have been back in the day, he's like, I'm open. And because earlier in the video I talked about how Thomas told Mrs. Hughes that he wanted to, Mrs. Carson, about how he wanted to be open, I think that seeing Guy being such an open person compared to what Richard is doing, seeing Guy being so open, that's also one of the reasons that I think that Thomas ended up falling for Guy. So yeah, by the end of the movie, we get to see Thomas making a decision, and he ends up walking to Lady Mary. And he's like, Lady Mary, I would like to hand in my resignation. Guy ended up offering me a job, and Lady Mary is like, oh, okay. Are you okay with taking such a job with Guy? And this is where Thomas basically tells Mary that Guy wants him to stay with him and basically be with him as lovers and whatnot, and that makes Lady Mary happy. She's very happy because she's like, you know what, Thomas, I know how much you have struggled. I know that you weren't always happy. So she's like, you know what, I accept your resignation, and I wish you good luck. I wish you good luck, especially considering the cruel world that we live in. And yeah, over the course of the Downton franchise, we have seen that Thomas is very, very accepted over at Downton. However, in order for him to find a chance at happiness, he needs to explore further. He needs to explore outside, and that's what Guy ended up giving him, and it made sense. It made sense that Thomas was like, you know what, Mr. Dexter, I'll come with you. And yeah, I actually like the fact that even though Guy made his offer that he's like, you know what, I want you to work for me, I want you to be my wife and be with me and whatnot, he was very respectful of Thomas's wishes, and he makes Thomas realize it. He makes sure that Thomas knows that this isn't some sort of payment that if he gives him such a job, he wants Thomas to repay via sexual favors. He makes it very, very clear that Thomas, even if you don't want to be with me in a romantic sense, it's all up to you. This can be as big or as small as you want it to. And yeah, I like the fact that Guy was respectful towards Thomas in such a manner. However, having said that, I am a bit worried about Thomas's future with Mr. Guy, because I'm like, what if things don't necessarily work out well between these two? What if they do end up getting into a romantic relationship and then they break up? What then? Is Thomas supposed to come back to Downton and reapply for a job, or will he remain in America and try to fend for himself alone? Like, I am a bit worried. But then again, as far as Julian Fellowes is concerned, I think that that wasn't his intention. I think that Julian Fellowes wanted Thomas to have a happy ending, and that's how he ended up giving Thomas such a happy ending, through a rich, popular actor, handsome guy who wants to be with Thomas, who is in love with Thomas and whatnot. And yeah, it's just a happy ending. And I think that Julian Fellowes wants the audience, wants us to imagine Thomas being happy with Guy. Now, if this film does return for a third movie, I highly doubt that Thomas will be a part of it. However, if it were up to me, in the third movie, I would send some of the Crawleys to America, and then they'll drop by to see Guy's estate, and then they can end up seeing Thomas being happy living there. But then again, that's just me, because if you ask me, my original headcanon was that Thomas ends up falling in love with a local produce guy, and their romance involves the local produce guy making, whenever he makes his deliveries, he has these flowers and small treats for Thomas to enjoy, and then both of them end up living together in a cottage nearby, because again, he is accepted at Downton in a sense. But yeah, that didn't happen. So yeah, the movie basically ends with a guy offering Thomas, basically proposing to Thomas to be his husband slash wife, and Thomas accepting, and both of them going to America. And yeah, it was an okay happy ending for Thomas, even though I was hoping for a bit more, because again, I feel that more time could have been spent fleshing out Thomas's relationship with Guy. But yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. As far as the movie, overall movie is concerned, I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the first movie, but it was still very, very fun. It was still very fun. The entire villa in the south of France storyline, that kind of led to nowhere. It felt like drama just for the sake of drama. But yeah, it was okay. The movie, it was okay. And for those of you who are wondering, again, major spoilers. I'm going to talk about major spoilers. If you don't want to hear about spoilers, you can stop the video right here, because I'm done talking about the Guy and Thomas storyline. So now I'm just going to go into spoiler territory. And if you don't want to hear that, well, I bid you goodbye. But if you're still here, I'm going to talk about spoilers. So, of course, back in the first movie, we got an idea that Violet was going to die. And that does happen. Yeah, that does happen in the second movie. Violet is dead. And, of course, Lady Mary ends up taking Violet's position. And that's why I'm like, you know what? With how everything ended in the second movie, if the franchise doesn't really return for a third movie, I would understand. But I think it all depends on how much box office it ends up making, because the first movie ended up making a whole lot of money compared to the production cost. So let's see. Maybe we'll get a streaming movie. Who knows? But yeah, Violet is dead now, but everyone is happy. Every character basically got a happy ending. With Thomas going to work with Guy, Mosley ended up being offered a job as a playwright by the director over here, who also ends up kind of liking Mary, but Mary shuts it down. She's like, you know what? I'm married. I can't give you what you want. So yeah, Mosley will be working for the movies, and he ends up proposing to the woman that he ends up, I forgot the name of the woman. Oh no, Miss Baxter. Yeah, he ends up proposing to her. So yeah, that's happy endings all around, except for the fact that Violet dies. But anyways, so as far as the overall movie is concerned, it was fun, but not as fun as the first movie, in my opinion. And as far as Guy's and Thomas' relationship is concerned, it is what it is. It could have been better, but at least it got somewhat of a happy ending, right? But anyway, let me know if you guys end up watching Downton Abbey 2 and what you thought of the movie overall, and also Thomas's storyline with Guy. Let me know about that. The movie has started releasing in a bunch of territories. However, if you're in the US, you'll be able to watch this movie come May 20th, if I'm not wrong. And then I think it will hit a streaming service. I think it will hit Paramount or maybe HBO Max. I think it will hit HBO Max, right? Don't quote me on it. But yeah, it should be available to stream in like 45 days after it makes its US theatrical debut. And I might end up doing a reaction review video for the Thomas and Guy scenes, similar to the one I did for Thomas and Richard. But let's see what happens. Anyway, let me know what you thought of the storyline down in the comment section below. And until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later. Bye.